My dear friends, in life, you don't need a sword to fight your biggest enemy. You don't need muscles, money, fame, or followers. You just need mastery over one dangerous thing, your own mind. Negative thinking is like a thief. It steals your peace, your confidence, your dreams, and sometimes your sleep too. And the worst part, it lives inside your own head, rent-free. Today, let us learn how to kill negative thinking forever, not by force, but by wisdom, awareness, and inner strength. Control your mind before it controls you. When you wake up every morning, your mind starts speaking before you even open your mouth. It whispers, it imagines, it exaggerates, it predicts, it judges, and it often creates problems that don't even exist. The truth is, the biggest battles of your life are not happening outside in the world. They're happening quietly inside your own head. And if you don't take charge of your mind will take charge of your mood, your decisions, your relationships, your confidence, and eventually your entire destiny. Imagine you are driving a car, and the driver next to you suddenly gets distracted, confused, and panicked. Would you allow that person to drive your vehicle? Of course not. But every day, millions of people allow a distracted, chaotic mind to drive their life. They let their fears make decisions for them, their doubts slow them down, their insecurities choose their words, and their moods decide how they treat people. A mind without control becomes like a car rolling downhill with no brakes. It can crash your peace in seconds. Let's understand this with a simple example. Think of a morning when you woke up late. The moment you opened your eyes, your mind shouted, "You're late! You're careless! Everything is going wrong!" Suddenly, your heart started beating faster, your entire day felt ruined, and your mind created panic before anything bad even happened. But then imagine another situation. You wake up late, but instead of panicking, you tell your mind, "Relax. We'll manage. Let's focus on what we can do now." The situation is the same, but the experience is completely different. Why? Because in the first case, the mind controlled you. In the second case, you controlled the mind. A controlled mind is like a trained dog, loyal, disciplined, and obedient. An uncontrolled mind is like a wild animal, unpredictable, noisy, and dangerous. If you don't train it, it will scare you, chase you, and eventually control every part of your life. Most people think negative thinking is the problem, but the real problem is that we never learned how to guide our thoughts. From childhood, we learned how to solve math problems, how to write essays, how to drive, how to operate phones, but nobody taught us how to operate our own mind. As a result, we grow up knowing how to earn money, but not how to earn peace, how to chase success, but not how to chase clarity, how to speak loudly, but not how to silence the noise in our head. Let me give you another real-life example. Have you ever been stuck in traffic? Notice how restless the mind becomes. You're not moving, you can't do anything. But the mind starts creating hundreds of thoughts. Why today? Why this road? Why is this so slow? When will this end? Why is that driver so slow? Nothing changes in reality, yet your mind creates frustration. But look at another person in the same traffic, listening to music, smiling, maybe talking calmly. The situation is the same. The difference is mental control. One person is driven by the mind. The other person is the driver of the mind. Mind control is not about suppressing your emotions, it is about guiding them. It's about telling your thoughts, you cannot run wild everywhere. You cannot create storms over small issues. You cannot decide my mood without permission. When you talk to your mind like a wise parent talks to a stubborn child, your life becomes peaceful. But when you let your mind talk to you like an angry boss, your life becomes stressful. The mind has two modes, master and servant. When you control it, the mind becomes your servant and helps you think clearly. When you don't, it becomes the master and forces you to feel anxious, sad, angry, or insecure. One thought becomes 10 thoughts, 10 become 50, and soon your mind creates a mountain out of something as small as a pebble. Think of social media, for example. One negative comment can disturb your entire mood if the mind is uncontrolled. You scroll through hundreds of positive interactions, but one harsh word sticks in the heart. Why? Because the mind loves holding on to pain more than it holds on to positivity. You must train it to let go of what harms you and hold on to what heals you. Controlling your mind is not about perfection, it's about awareness. It's about catching your thoughts before they become storms. It's about recognizing when your mind is pulling you downward and gently redirecting it upward. When your mind starts saying, "You can't do it," you gently reply, "Let's try." When your mind says, "What will people think?" you calmly tell it, "That doesn't matter." When your mind says, "Everything is going wrong," you reassure it, "Everything is manageable." A controlled mind makes you respond with wisdom instead of reacting with fear. It makes you calm in chaos, stable in uncertainty, and peaceful even when life is not perfect. And the more you control it, the more your mind becomes your greatest ally rather than your greatest enemy. When you learn to control your mind, you don't just kill negative thinking, you kill doubt, fear, overthinking, and confusion. You become strong from the inside, unshakable in challenges, and peaceful in situations that once broke you. Inner strength is not about fighting the world, it's about mastering yourself. And the day you master your mind, your life transforms forever. What destroys your peace is not the situation. It's the questions your mind asks in that situation. The human mind is a questioning machine. It constantly asks, why? What if? Why me? What now? And depending on the quality of those questions, your entire emotional experience changes. If the question is negative, your feelings become negative. If the question is empowering, your feelings become powerful. Life is not shaped by events, it is shaped by the questions you silently ask yourself after those events happen. Imagine this simple scene. You spill your morning tea on your clothes. Some people immediately ask, "Why am I so stupid? Why does this always happen to me? What kind of unlucky day is this?" The tea is gone, the stain is there, but now the mind has created a waterfall of negativity over something as tiny as a spill. The entire day feels heavy, not because of the tea, but because of the questions the mind produced. Another person spills the tea and asks a different set of questions. Okay, how do I clean this quickly? What can I wear instead? What is this teaching me? Maybe to slow down a little. The same situation, the same spill, but a completely different emotional experience. Why? Because the questions are different. Negative questions lead to suffering. Empowering questions lead to solutions. Most people do not realize how powerful their inner questions are. One negative question can destroy your confidence for the whole day. For example, imagine you walk into a room and someone doesn't greet you. The mind instantly asks, why didn't they say hello? Did I do something wrong? Do they not like me? And suddenly your mood drops, not because of what happened, but because of the internal interrogation led by your own mind. But a different person asks, maybe they were busy, or maybe they didn't notice me, or maybe it has nothing to do with me. And with that one shift, peace is preserved. You see, the mind is like a lawyer. It will find evidence for whatever question you ask. If you ask, why am I not good enough? The mind will search through your past and present to list every tiny mistake you ever made. But if you ask, what am I doing well in my life? The mind will present every strength, every success, every good quality you possess. The quality of your questions determines the quality of your identity. Let's take an example from relationships. Maybe someone you love suddenly behaves coldly. A negative question arises. Why don't they care about me anymore? This one question can spiral into insecurity, fear, overthinking, emotional pain. But an empowering question sounds like, what might they be going through? Or, how can I support them? Or, is there a misunderstanding we can talk through? One question leads you into emotional darkness. The other leads you into mature communication. In your career too, negative questions create mental blocks. Imagine you didn't get the job you wanted. Your mind may ask, why am I such a failure? What is wrong with me? These questions crush your drive. But if you ask, what can I improve for next time? Or, what did this rejection redirect me toward? Suddenly your energy rises. You begin to grow instead of shrink. This is the secret wise people know. Your mind listens to your questions more than it listens to your circumstances. If the question is wrong, the answer will always hurt you. If the question is right, the answer will always help you. Think about children. When they fall while learning to walk, they never ask, why am I falling? They simply stand up again and continue. Their questions are simple. What's next? That's why they learn fast. But as adults, our questions become dramatic. What will people think? What if I fail again? What if I embarrass myself? These questions paralyze us. Notice this pattern when your mind is tired, emotional, or stressed. Negative questions come automatically. Why does nobody understand me? Why is life so hard? Why can't I catch a break? These questions don't bring clarity. They bring self-pity, isolation, and hopelessness. Replace them with empowering alternatives like, what can I learn from this phase? What strength is this difficulty building in me? How can I handle this situation with grace? Let me give you another simple example. You lose your phone for a moment. The uncontrolled mind asks, oh my God, what if someone stole it? What if I lose all my contacts? What if my day is ruined? But the calm mind asks, where did I last keep it? How do I track it? Let's retrace my steps. The entire emotional tone shifts from panic to problem solving. Empowering questions create inner courage. Negative questions create inner fear. One lifts you. One limits you. One heals you. One hurts you. And you are the one choosing them. whether consciously or unconsciously. Think of your mind as a garden. Questions are the seeds. Plant negative seeds, and your garden grows weeds of stress. Plant empowering seeds, and your garden grows flowers of resilience. Life becomes beautiful. The moment you consciously choose your questions, you take back control of your emotional world. You stop living in fear and start living with purpose. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop drowning in problems and start rising with solutions. You stop feeling powerless and start feeling powerful. Change your questions and your life will follow. One of the biggest sources of negative thinking is giving too much importance to what others think about you. People's opinions are like changing weather. One day sunny, one day cloudy, one day stormy. If you allow your self-worth to depend on such unpredictable forces, you will always live in emotional imbalance. The tragedy is that many people are not living their own life. They're living according to the expectations, judgments, and opinions of others. They wear masks, hide their real selves, and constantly seek approval, only to end up feeling empty. The truth is simple: the world will always have something to say. Even if you speak less, people will say you're boring. If you speak more, they'll say you talk too much. If you succeed, they'll say you're proud. If you fail, they'll say you're useless. So why let such inconsistent voices control your peaceful mind? People's opinions are reflections of their mindset, not your worth. Someone who is unhappy with themselves will rarely be happy for you. Someone insecure will always find faults in others. Someone who doesn't understand your journey cannot understand your choices. And someone who hasn't walked your path has no right to decide your value. Imagine you are walking in a marketplace with a beautiful crystal in your hand. Someone looks at it and says, "It looks ordinary." Another says, "It's too shiny." A third person says, "It's probably fake." Now imagine you believe them. Suddenly, the crystal feels worthless in your hand. But the truth is, their opinions did not change the crystal. Their words only changed your perception. This is what happens in life. You remain the same, but the way you see yourself changes based on what others say. Think of a student who scores well but hears one sarcastic comment. "Anyone can do this." Suddenly, they feel discouraged. Or an employee who works hard but is judged by someone who doesn't even understand their role. Or a woman who dresses nicely but one person says, "Too much," and she loses her confidence. Or a man who tries a new business and someone says, "It won't work," and he suddenly doubts himself. Notice the pattern. People's words hold power only when you internalize them. In reality, people see you through the lens of their own experiences. If someone is jealous, they will belittle you. If someone is competitive, they will compare you. If someone is insecure, they will criticize you. If someone is kind, they will uplift you. So why take every opinion seriously when opinions come from different emotional places? Let's take a daily life example. Suppose you post something on social media. Some people like it, some ignore it, and one person comments negatively. Even if there are 200 positive reactions, your mind sticks to the single negative comment. Why? Because your mind has been trained to value negativity more than appreciation. But here's the twist. The person who criticizes you may be struggling in their own life, feeling invisible, or projecting their unhappiness onto you. Their words are not a mirror, just a shadow of their emotional state. Another example, imagine you share a dream with someone. You tell them you want to start a business, learn a new skill, travel somewhere, or pursue a passion. Some will smile, some will laugh, some will discourage you. But their reaction has nothing to do with your potential. It has everything to do with their own fears. People who cannot see themselves achieving something will never see you achieving it. If you let them define you, you shrink. If you let them guide you, you get lost. If you let them control your feelings, you become a puppet. Life becomes exhausting because you are constantly adjusting yourself to satisfy people who don't even know your true self. True confidence comes when you stop chasing validation, when you do things because they matter to you, not because they impress someone, when you speak honestly instead of speaking to please, when you wear what makes you comfortable, not what others approve, when you choose your path based on your inner compass, not the noise around you. Remember, the greatest people in history were criticized before they were celebrated. Every artist, every thinker, every leader, every innovator was doubted first. If they had listened to those opinions, the world would never have seen their greatness. They succeeded because they valued their inner voice more than the outer noise. You cannot stop people from talking, but you can stop their words from entering your heart. You cannot control their judgment, but you can control your reaction. You cannot change how they see you, but you can change how you see yourself. At the end of the day, you are the one who lives with your choices, not the people who judge them. You are the one who walks your path, not the people who comment on it. You are the one who knows your struggles, not the people who minimize them. So why give them the authority to define your worth? When you stop letting people's opinions shape your identity, you experience real freedom. You breathe more deeply. You smile more confidently. You walk more peacefully. You start living your life, not their expectations. You become the author of your story, not a character controlled by someone else's script. And that is when negativity begins to die. Because the moment you stop living for others, you start living for yourself. One of the greatest reasons people drown in negative thinking is because they invest all their emotional energy into things that are completely outside their control. They keep trying to manage the weather, people's behavior, other people's thoughts, the past, the future, luck, or timing, things that the universe never gave them the authority to change. When you try to control what you cannot control, you are guaranteed to suffer. But when you start focusing on what is truly in your hands, you become powerful, calm, and mentally free. Imagine you are holding a rope, and on the other end is a huge stone that you are trying to drag. No matter how hard you pull, the stone doesn't move. Your hands start to burn, your back starts to ache, and your energy drains. But the moment you let go, all the pain disappears. This is what it feels like when you stop struggling with things you cannot control. The pain was not from the situation. It was from holding on too tightly to something that wasn't your responsibility in the first place. Let's look at real life. You may wake up one morning and the weather is horrible. You want sunshine, but it rains. You want calm roads, but there is traffic. You want peace, but someone's behavior irritates you. If you fight these things mentally, your day becomes heavy. You say, why is this happening? Why are people like this? Why can't things go smoothly? But if you simply accept the rain, manage the traffic, and smile at the annoying person, you protect your inner peace. The situation didn't change. Your focus did. Take the example of relationships. You cannot control how someone speaks to you, but you can control how you respond. You cannot control whether someone apologizes, but you can control whether you hold on to resentment or choose peace. You cannot control how someone sees you, but you can control how you see yourself. Many arguments happen because people are trying to control the other person instead of controlling their own reactions. When you seek control over others, you lose control over yourself. Think of your workplace. You cannot control the economy, the decisions of your boss, the deadlines that come suddenly, or the workload that arrives unexpectedly. But you can control your consistency, your skill improvement, your discipline, your preparation, and your attitude. People who rise in life are not those who control everything. They are the ones who control themselves when everything around them feels out of control. One of the biggest areas where we waste mental energy is trying to control what people think about us. You cannot control someone's opinion, and you never will. The same person who praises you today might criticize you tomorrow. The same person who admires your success might become jealous when you grow further. You cannot enter their mind and change their thoughts. But you can control whether you allow their opinions to disturb your inner peace. Some people spend their whole life trying to prove themselves to people who aren't even thinking about them. They walk on eggshells, trying to please everyone, only to end up exhausted. But the moment you turn your attention inward and ask, what do I control in this situation? The burden begins to lift. Here's another example from daily life. Imagine you are stuck in a long queue at the bank, at the airport, or in the grocery store. You can't magically shorten the line. You can't speed up the system. You can't change the people in front of you. But you can choose what to do with that time. You can complain, get irritated, and mentally torture yourself, or you can breathe, relax, listen to something uplifting, or simply enjoy a moment of stillness. Peace is not found in perfect conditions. Peace is found when you choose the right focus. The sad truth is that most people suffer not because of life, but because of their focus. If a glass breaks, they suffer for hours. If a plan changes, they feel frustrated. If someone doesn't message back, they feel rejected. If something goes differently than expected, they feel defeated. Instead of adjusting their attitude, they try to adjust the world, and that always leads to disappointment. The happiest and most mentally strong people are masters of focusing on what is in their hands. They don't waste time fighting storms they cannot stop. They don't waste energy trying to change people who don't want to change. They don't argue with reality. They work with it. They don't complain about obstacles. They navigate around them. They don't panic about the future. They prepare for it. They don't obsess about the past. They learn from it. There is immense freedom in recognizing what belongs to you and what doesn't. Your reaction is yours. Your effort is yours. Your honesty is yours. Your growth is yours. But the results, opinions, outcomes, and behaviors of others, those are not yours. When you shift your focus from control to contribution, from expectation to effort, from frustration to acceptance, negative thinking loses its power over you. Your mind becomes lighter, your heart becomes calmer, and your decisions become wiser. You begin to live life with clarity, not confusion, with calmness, not chaos, with strength, not stress. And in that moment, you realize the truth: your peace was never outside your control, your focus was. Your mind is like a garden. Whatever you plant in it grows. If you plant seeds of doubt, fear, and negativity, you will grow weeds of anxiety. But if you plant seeds of inspiration, gratitude, and wisdom, you will grow flowers of peace. The truth is, the mind does not remain empty. It is constantly absorbing. Every conversation, every video, every song, every social media post, every environment, everything is feeding your mind in some way. The question is not whether your mind is being fed. The question is what your mind is being fed. Think of your body. If you eat junk food every day, your energy drops. Your body becomes unhealthy. You feel heavy, tired, irritated. The same happens with the mind. When you consume junk thoughts, gossip, drama, negativity, criticism, comparison, you feel mentally drained. Your thinking becomes heavy, your peace becomes weak, and your confidence becomes fragile. But just as eating healthy food energizes your body, feeding your mind positive content energizes your spirit. Consider a simple morning example. The moment someone wakes up, they grab their phone. Before their feet touch the ground, they have already seen news of tragedies, arguments on social media, unrealistically perfect lives of influencers, and stressful messages. Their mind is already full of noise before their day has even begun. If you start your morning with negativity, your mind becomes a slave to external chaos. But if you start your morning with gratitude, prayer, meditation, positive reading, uplifting thoughts, or a motivational message, your mind becomes a leader, not a follower. Your mind reflects whatever you feed it. If you watch videos that make you jealous, you will feel insecure. If you listen to people who complain all the time, you will become a complainer. If you surround yourself with pessimistic people, your mindset will quietly become pessimistic too. But if you read even one page of something inspiring each day, your mind shifts. If you listen to wise words for even 10 minutes, your thinking becomes clearer. If you spend time in silence every morning, your mind becomes peaceful. A simple example: imagine two people stuck in traffic. One person plays angry talk, negative news, or arguments through the radio. The other listens to calming music, a motivational speaker, or a spiritual message. They are both in the same situation, but their mental experience is totally different. Why? Because one fed their mind frustration, while the other fed their mind peace. Your mind is always hungry. If you don't consciously feed it positivity, it will automatically feed on negativity. It will pick up fears from the environment, worries from your surroundings, and problems from the world. That's why you must intentionally feed it good thoughts every day, just like you intentionally feed your body good food. Think of your mind like a smartphone. If you never charge it, it dies. If you fill it with too many apps, it slows down. If you don't update it, it becomes outdated. Similarly, if you don't recharge your mind with peace, it collapses. If you fill it with unnecessary information, it becomes cluttered. If you don't upgrade it with wisdom, Unhealthy patterns repeat themselves. Imagine you want to grow muscles. You wouldn't go to the gym once a month and expect results. You would train consistently. In the same way, mental strength doesn't come from one motivational video. It comes from daily mental nourishment. Motivation is not a one-time event. It is a daily habit. You shower every day, you eat every day, you dress every day, yet many people never clean or feed their mind. They let negativity accumulate inside until it becomes stress, anxiety, overthinking, or sadness. Many people say, "But I don't have time for positivity." Yet they spend hours scrolling through negativity. You don't need hours, you just need moments. 10 minutes of silence, a few minutes of gratitude, a short inspirational message, a meaningful quote, a conversation with someone uplifting, a little time reading something transformational. These small moments change the direction of your entire day. Let's take another everyday example. Imagine a person who meets a friend who constantly talks about problems, failures, and complaints. After the conversation, they feel drained, worried, and tense. Another person meets a friend who talks about growth, faith, possibilities, and solutions. After that conversation, they feel energized and hopeful. The difference is in the content that entered their mind. The quality of what you feed your mind decides the quality of your life. A peaceful mind does not happen by accident. It is created by intentional nourishment. You cannot pour dirty water into a vessel and expect it to look clean. You cannot watch low-quality content every day and expect your mind to produce high-quality thoughts. If you want your life to rise, your thinking must rise. If you want your emotions to improve, your mental diet must improve. If you want your confidence to grow, your inner world must be nurtured. Every day, give your mind something that uplifts it, something that strengthens it, something that reminds it of gratitude, growth, and goodness. A few minutes of positive input can protect your mind from hours of negativity. And one day, you will notice that your thinking has changed. You are calmer in chaos, kinder in conflict, and stronger in challenges. Not because life became easier, but because you fed your mind the strength it needed. When you nourish your mind with positivity daily, your thoughts become your greatest source of power, not your greatest source of pain.